Hello, I am Mrs. Ruma Dhanwate from Aryan College of Arts, Commerce and Science, and today's topic for this video lecture is Introduction to UML, that is Unified Modeling Language. Unified Modeling Language is a language for specifying, visualizing, constructing and documenting the artifacts of a software system as well as for business modeling and other non-software systems. In, s- in software development lifecycle or SDLC, artifact usually refers to things that are produced by people involved in the process. For example, that could be documents, data models, workflow diagrams, test plans, your ER diagrams, use case diagrams, everything. Okay, so anything which is a byproduct or a product of your SDLC is called as an artifact. Now, UML has emerged as a standard diagramming notation for object-oriented modeling. It started as an effort by Grady Booch and Jim Brumbaugh in 1994 to combine the diagramming notations from their two popular methods, the Booch and OMT, that is Object Modeling Technique. Now later they were joined by Ivar Jacobson, who was a creator of Object-Tree method, and together Grady Booch, Rimbaud and Ivar Jacobson were known as Three Amigos. Now many others contributed to UML, but most notably Chris Cobian. He was a leader in its ongoing refinement, and UML was adopted in 1997 as a standard by the OMG, that is Object Management Group. Unified process. This unified process is also called as rational unified process. The unified process or UP promotes several best practices. The first one and the best is the iterative development. In this approach, development is organized into a series of short, fixed length mini projects called iterations. Now, when you are doing a project, your project is divided into modules. Now, you are given a time frame for a project to get completed. For example, 4 months to complete a project. Now, you decide in the 4 months how your module should work and what should be the output of each of the modules. Further, the modules also contain number of functionalities. Now, so in this approach, the development is organized into a series of short, fixed length mini projects called as iterations. Basically, it means that in a particular time frame, this much work should get completed. Once that work is completed, you further enhance your work and add more functionalities into your project. So the outcome of each is a tested, integrated, and executable system. It means that whatever you have made in a module or the functionalities you have implemented, they should be tested and should be integrated, and it should be an executable system. So each iteration includes its own requirements, analysis, design, implementation, and testing activities. Now, since you are going to have a project in which there will be number of iterations, each of these iterations will have their requirements analysis, design, implementation, and testing activity. That means a smaller SDLC in its whole. So it has all the phases of a SDLC. The iterative life cycle is based on the successive enlargement and refinement of a system through multiple iterations with cyclic feedback. So for an example, if your project has 7 or 8 iterations, so in the first iteration you will be completing the whole SDLC once with analysis, design, implementation, and testing activities. So one iteration is complete. So you enhance, you go to the second iteration. With the first iteration being complete, you go to the second iteration, and again for the second iteration, you repeat the cycle of SDLC: requirements analysis, design, implementation, testing. You complete the second cycles and then go to the third. So what happens is if the project is completing in a phase-wise manner. First iteration, certain functionalities are completed. Second iteration, certain activities are completed. Okay, so the iterative life cycle is based on the successive enlargement and refinement of a system through multiple iterations with a cyclic feedback. The system grows incrementally over time, iteration by iteration, and thus this approach is also known as iterative and incremental development. What are the benefits of iterative development? Early rather than late, mitigation of high risk, technical requirements or objectives, usability, and many more. Early visible progress, early feedback, user engagement, and adaptation, leading to a refined system that more closely meets the real needs of the stakeholders. Manage complexity. The team is not overwhelmed by or very long and complex steps. The learning within an iteration can be methodically used to improve the development process itself, iteration by iteration. It means that because you are doing, the first point says early rather than late mitigation of high risk. You have learned about a waterfall model, right? Now what happens? You do all the phases of the SDLC, and finally you go for testing. If there is any problem, you cannot go back and make the corrections. But when you are doing an iteration, if you have made some mistakes, you can check them, modify them, and you can get the correct things at the right time. That means if there are high risk of anything, you are ready to mitigate it, and you are able to do the things properly at the right time or correct the things at the right place. Early visible progress. Early visible progress means that because you are doing the things in iteration, and as we have already seen, because it is iteration, you are having some functionalities which have to be completed in one iteration. So you know that these things are completed, and in the second iteration another things are completed. So you see that your project is progressing properly. Early feedback, user engagement, and adaptation, leading to refined system that makes more closely meets the real needs of the stakeholders. That is, once you complete the iteration, you tell the user that these are the things we have completed. You can check if there is a feedback, you can give what you need, what the user needs, whether the user is happy with it or not, or whether the user wants some changes into it. Now if the user wants some changes into it, it is easier to implement at the earlier stages rather than after completing the project. Manage complexity. The team is not overwhelmed by a very long and complex steps. Okay, it means that you know that these things are to be complete, and since you complete the things at a right time, there will be less complexity, and you will not feel that you have not done these many things or these many things are left. You will be happy and more satisfied that yes, at least we have completed this much thing, and now we can proceed further. The learning within an iteration can be methodically used to improve the development process itself, iteration by iteration. So you always learn. If you have made some mistakes in a one iteration, you will not repeat that into another iteration. Then what should be the iteration length? That is the length of iteration, because your project will be going through number of iterations. So what should be the length of your iteration? The unified process recommends an iteration length between 2 or 6 weeks, that is between 2 weeks to 6 weeks. Small steps, rapid feedback, and adaptation are central ideas in iterative development. Long iterations subvert the core motivation for iterative development and increase project risk. Much less than 2 weeks, and it is difficult to complete sufficient work to get meaningful throughput and feedback. Much more than 6 or 8 weeks, and the complexity becomes rather overwhelming and feedback is delayed. A very long iteration misses the point of iterative development. Short is good. Now, so how should be the iteration length? It should be between 2 to 6 weeks, because below if it is less than 2 weeks, you might not be able to complete anything because 2 weeks time is a very short time. So if you are getting time from 4 to 6, 4, 4, 5 or 6 weeks, you feel that you have some time to do good things or to complete some of the functionalities of your project. So the iteration length should not be less than 2 weeks, because most probably you won't be able to do anything in those 2 weeks, because as you see that iteration will go through all the phases of the SDLC, from requirements analysis, designing, integrating, testing, everything. So less than 2 weeks is a very small period. So, and more than 6 weeks, you will feel okay, you have a lot of time to complete, and so you might not have, you might not finish a lot of things, or you feel okay, you have a lot of time, let us delay the things. Okay, so when you have a time frame of 3, 4 or 5 weeks, you know that within this time you have to finish it. So the iteration should length should be between 2 to 6 weeks, not less than 2 weeks and not more than 6 weeks. So much less than 2 weeks, it is difficult to complete sufficient work to get meaningful throughput and feedback. And more than 6 or 8 weeks, the complexity becomes rather overwhelming and the feedback is delayed. So since the feedback will be delayed, you will get less time to make the changes. Feedback gets delayed, you will get less time to changes, and even when you are trying to make the changes, you might miss on for other next iteration. Next, what is time boxing? Now, the a key idea that iteration are time boxed or a fixed length. Why the iteration should be of fixed length? For example, if the next iteration is chosen to be 4 weeks long, then the partial system should be integrated, tested, and stabilized by the scheduled date, and date slippage is discouraged. It means that if your iteration is of, for example, 4 weeks, so in those 4 weeks, you decide that these many functionalities are to be given to a customer or the end user or the user who is going to use your system. So if you have decided that in these 4 weeks, you are going to give 20 functionalities to a customer so that you complete one iteration. So you should be able to complete those 20 functionalities in 4 weeks. This is called as time boxing. In case that you are not able to complete these 20 functionalities within this time frame, you give whatever is finished. For example, if you finish only 15 functionalities with you, so you give that 15 functionalities only to the customer, but within those 4 weeks only, that is after completing your 4th week. Okay, so the remaining 5 functionalities you can adjust it into the next iteration. So if it seems that it will be difficult to meet the deadline, the recommended response is to remove tasks or requirements from the iteration and include them in a future iteration rather than the slip of the completion date. That means if you promise a customer that the first iteration 20 functionalities are to be given to you, and if you complete only 15 of them, give the 15 to the customer and tell them that the next 15 will be adjusted in the next iteration itself, but do not sleep your completion date. That means 4 weeks are 4 weeks only. Okay, that's all in this video lecture. Thank you.